Welcome to Washington News Network. We go to Aditya Dechirla reporting on the purpose of the March on Washington.
Washington, 1963. Bayard Rustin has just orchestrated a broad, multicultural coalition of support for the March on Washington. Today, lots of black men and women are getting ready to start a march to end segregation. To do that, black leaders wanted to get some publicity. It helped African Americans show the world how unfairly they were treated. And that is where the march comes into play. They appear to have some really good reasons to do this. As it stands today, black unemployment is twice as much as whites. Civil rights legislation remains stalled in Congress, and the police are using nightsticks, billy clubs, cattle prods, fire hoses, and tear gas to subdue demonstrators. Even media coverage, people on the street say, has been affected. News of police attacking the young teens has angered many Americans and African Americans. We have learned that this is why James Farmer, Martin Luther King Jr., John Lewis, A. Philip Randolph, Roy Wilkins, and Whitney Young sent a letter to numerous Americans saying to join them on the March on Washington.
We now go to Whitney Dankworth at the Lincoln Memorial, who will report on A. Philip Randolph.
I am here in Washington, D.C., trying to find out the point behind the Blacks' March on Washington. I just had a conversation with Philip Asa Randolph, organizer of the march, founder of the Brotherhood of the Sleeping Car Porters, and a member of Negro Congress. He was born in 1879 and is obviously a smart man for organizing this march. He was valedictorian of his class and graduated in 1907. Here we have a picture of the inside of one of the cars. Philip Randolph told me this. He said that the blacks are tired of being treated this way. I want to end segregation. All men are created equal, and blacks are being treated extremely unfairly. Randolph proposed this march last year to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. He gathered people from near and far, and now there are 250,000 getting ready to march up Constitution Avenue. The whites are going to do anything to stop it. The chief of police is readying the attack dogs. Randolph was originally planning a march to happen in 1942. It got called off when the president negotiated with him to stop it. That's it for now. We will be back again tomorrow with more information on the March on Washington.
Welcome back to Washington News Network. Today is August 29th, 1962. Yesterday, August 28th, 250,000 black and white people, double the amount of people that were expected to marched from the Washington Monument to the Lincoln Memorial in order to show racial unity, harmony, and support for the civil rights movement. They were also marching to show their support for the Civil Rights Bill. Once they reached the Lincoln Memorial, they were entertained by a number of folk singers, including Bob Dylan and Joan Baez. Many speeches were made. John Lewis from the CNCC, the Student Nonviolence Coordinating Committee, spoke, as well as Philip Randolph and Martin Luther King Jr. In Randolph's speech, he said, "Fellow Americans, we are gathered here in the largest demonstration in the history of this nation. Let the nation and the world know the meaning of our numbers. We are not a pressure group. We are not an organization or a group of organizations. We are not a mob. We are the advance guard of a massive moral revolution for jobs and freedom." After Randolph's speech, Martin Luther King Jr. spoke to the crowd. In his speech, he talked about his dream, that blacks and whites would be treated the same, inspiring everyone with his words, "I have a dream." Martin Luther King Jr. is seen as the face of the civil rights movement. He is an important civil rights leader, and he has organized numerous marches, protests, and freedom rides all over the South. Now we go to Diksha Bathini, who will report on Dr. King's speech and the reactions of the American people.
Yesterday, the I Have a Dream speech by Martin Luther King started to end brutal segregation and tragic ordeals. More than 250 black and whites marched to the Washington Monument and to the Lincoln Memorial. There, Martin Luther King delivered his I Have a Dream speech. Having a powerful impact in his words, he's realized as a famous freedom fighter who led people to follow their dreams and believe in nonviolence. Here are some popular parts of his speech. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal." Martin Luther King refers back to the words of the Declaration of Independence, trying to open up the eyes of the white people. "I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places shall be made a plain, and the crooked places shall be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh see it together. The valleys and the hills and the mountains are chains of segregation and discrimination. They have to be straightened out or resolved. I was not brave. I was courageous. I was determined. That's how I got to Montgomery," proclaimed Linda Blackman Lowry, the youngest person to make the 54-mile march from Selma to Montgomery. "Some people are still raging at the blacks and continue to segregate and discriminate. Thank you for watching Washington News Network.